A very warm welcome to another race. It is Sunday again. That means that the winter series at FSR is gonna go underway indeed. We are here at the Indianapolis Indy 500. You may know it, but today it's not time for the Indy 500. As I said, we are in the FSR winter series and we are used to seeing IndyCar being driven by the drivers, and it will be the same story today. The layout for this track, if you are wondering, is the 2007 layout, which was also used in Formula 1. Of course, the track isn't being used in F1 anymore. It was there for quite a long while. I'm not entirely sure when it made its debut on the calendar, but it has been there for quite a long while, especially during the V10 era, so to say, from the 2000s, something around there. But this is not Formula 1, of course, today. David O'Reilly will join me in a second. He's got some issues with his PC, however. I'm sure if he is there, then he'll jump in and give a shout. So qualifying is on the way then. We just had a practice session where Jeroen topped the time board, the time sheet. I think it was a 14.3 which he did. It was indeed a 14.357. That was 1.5 tenths quicker than his team boss, James Sadler. I think James is still a team boss over at the Go Speed camp, so those two are working together quite well, of course, and a couple of thousandths of a second behind James Sadler really was Kuba Brzezinski. Talking about Kuba Brzezinski, he is currently the leader in this championship, 65 points. That means he's 4 points ahead of Simocic, and those two guys have had quite a nice rivalry so far in this winter series. Unfortunately, last weekend at Road America, or is it Atlanta? I said it in the previous stream as well. I always get confused by Road America and Road Atlanta. I think it's Road America though. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, for us viewers, we saw that Simocic, due to some driving issues, I shall call it, wasn't able to challenge Kuba. That's sometimes the way it goes. That's racing. We did hope last week for a massive on-track battle. Didn't really come between those two guys. Maybe we can see it today though. Always keep hoping, of course. 16 car grid today. This qualifying is then on the way, of course. 18 minutes to go in this session. I'm gonna have a quick look. I think Kris is going to be the first one to set a lap time, if that's correct. I think it is. So he'll set the benchmark, as Kris had a bit of oversteer. Talking about Kuba Brzezinski a little bit more. He actually just won the Virtual Endurance Championship NLP1 class. He won it over at Spa, 24 hours, and he did so with Nikodem Wisniewski, who has also been in FSR, and with Paschalis Gergis, and we all know who that guy is, I hope. But Paschalis is a driver in ACE at FSR as well, so a bit of an FSR team in the Virtual Endurance Championship, so to say. But Kuba is on form then, and we'll see what he can do today. Simocic has been looking rather strong already though, that has to be said. There's the Jeroen coming across the line right about now. He is going to indeed set the first benchmark, which is immediately getting beaten by Simocic. A 115.5 from Simocic. Kuba Brzezinski 3 tenths down on that with a 114.8. Lucas Schmid in third, who gets jobbed now by James Sadler, who pops up into second. And he has got a 14.7. So the first couple of laps are being set on the board, but as we saw in last week, it doesn't really say a lot at all. The track is going to rubber up a lot more than it is right now, and towards the end of the session, it's really where we can expect the strongest times. Maybe some drivers from Simocic's caliber, for example, will be able to get into the 13s once the track gets really rubbered up, but it's a little bit too early days to speculate about that, I think.
Jeroen, David here, happy to join you, just gathering together a few resources here so that I can back you up in the commentary, but I'm not too far away, just getting some information and some bits and pieces together, so looking forward to the race. 36 laps here at the Indy road circuit, and we've got a very close championship really, with Kuba on 65, Journey on 61, Mishi on 50, and with 30 points for the win, it's mathematically possible for, in fact, any one of the top four to win the show, or the top five actually in the series to win the championship.
Yeah, indeed, we've had a pretty close championship, has to be said. It's also pretty nice, of course, but what I am missing so far is a little bit of a sparkling battle, you know, between the top guys, and then I give a little wink to Simocic and Brzezinski, of course. I mean, those are the two guys who are, I think, the favorites for the title. But would it be nice to have a bit of a battle between those two guys, as Brzezinski to provisional pole position. Of course, 15 more minutes to go, but we can see what kind of rivalry it is in qualifying already, being only a thousandth of a second ahead of Jeroen Simracing. So that is really nice to see. What is also nice to see, by the way, is that James Sadler is in here. He's currently in third place, and maybe James Sadler can mix himself up with Simracing and Brzezinski. Maybe that will create a three-way battle here in the afternoon today.
Yeah, indeed, and it's an interesting track. I mean, I think it's a track that, despite the fact that it uses, I think, the longest road oval course in the world, it's produced the road configuration produces a lot of twists and turns. Had a bit of a walk along pit lane metaphorically earlier, and was told that it works the fronts very, very hard, and tyre wear late in the stint is going to be an issue, presuming that everybody will run on the alternate. So it should produce some great racing. And I also managed to get to the bottom of something that confused and perplexed us a little bit last week, which was Kuba letting Mishi through, if you recall back at Road America. And what it simply was Kuba decided to let his teammate Mishi have the point for leading a lap. And so gave him that free kick. And then retook the lead once he'd given Mishi that single point for leading a lap, jumped back in front again.
Yeah, we were really confused about it, to be honest, last week, but there we go. I'm not familiar at all with these kind of rules where you get points for leading laps and whatnot.
Well, just for the benefit of the viewers, it's 30 points for P1. Yeah. Coming second is 29, coming third is 28, all the way down the list. So there's only a difference of 1 point between each position. Pole gets a point, leading a lap gets a point, and for the person who leads most laps of the race, they get 2 points. So it certainly mixed it up and kept it alive.
Yeah, definitely. That's the reason why we've got a reasonable close championship in our hands at the moment, which is obviously nice.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a very different sort of winter series with an American flavour, and I really enjoyed having the drive at Mid-Ohio. The car is beautiful, just responds superbly, feels great, and it's made it a very interesting series and just mixed it up a bit. We had a bit of a problem with our round at Charlotte on the oval. I think a lot of drivers figured that was going to be pretty easy. I mean, how hard can it be turning left and flooring it? But there's some intricacies and some subtleties of oval racing that you've got to practice to get right.
Definitely. So, David, what do you think about this? What shall we call it? I think the start-finish straight. I mean, it's massive, of course. Yes, there's a bit of a corner before the actual start-finish straight, but that corner is definitely flat out. Remember that I think it was Ralf Schumacher had a major incident in that corner. Of course, he escaped from that without too much damage to his body, so to say.
Was that the tyre failure?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I remember that very controversial race. I think only Ferrari and Jordan raced in the end.
Yeah, it was Ferrari, I think Minardi as well.
Yeah.
Ferrari, Jordan and Minardi were the only teams then racing. But what do you think about that start-finish straight? Will it create a lot of overtaking opportunities, or is the dirty air in the middle sector, so to say, in the middle part of the lap, does it do too much damage to get a move in at the end of that straight?
Well, I've got to confess, I didn't do any practice on this circuit because I wasn't racing here at this round, but I get the feeling that if the guys have set the car up nicely to perform over the lap, it's going to be running a lot more wing than you would normally run on this big oval section. So, the fast section shouldn't really cause them any problems. So they should be able to follow pretty close, I would have thought.
Of course, we don't have any kind of DRS or any other artificial thing to overtake with.
No, indeed, it's all down to good hard driving and good hard racing, and just touching on the simulation. This is the fabulous thing about R-Factor 2, which is what we use in Formula Sim racing. You've got a really intricate and deep tyre model where you've got
Yeah.
3 different tread depths that are giving different temperatures and different reactions. The road improves with every lap that gets driven on it, so the track rubber's in. In some series we can actually use real weather, and this is the simulation created by the team that produces the simulator for most of the real life Formula 1 team, so it's an amazing simulation that we use.
Definitely. I was actually reading a couple of months ago through the changelog, for example, for a new R Factor 2 build, and I noticed that they were actually simulating as well the loss of grip you get when you drive over the white line. For example, in Australia, Albert Park, that's where it sometimes is a bit of a of a tough thing as a driver to be on the white line during braking or whatever, those white lines which mark the track limit, so to say. But they actually reduce grip as well. I mean, how more detailed can you get than that?
And the engine performance is actually responds to the amount of ram air effect that you're getting. So the faster you go and the more air pressure on the intake, the more the horsepower the car produces as well. So when you look at the complexity of the engine file, it really is something. And if anybody out there is considering driving in Formula Sim racing, it's a pretty amazing thing that you're going to see today some of the best drivers, sim racing drivers in the world. Kuba, who, as you said earlier, won this morning, his team, Sport Poland, won the Virtual Endurance Championship 24 hours in Spa. Kuba went to the GT Academy finals in Dubai, so he is right up there as one of the top sim racers in the world. He is a World Championship Formula Sim Racing race winner, which says enough. And this is a rare situation that if you want to, for the cost of a gaming PC, for about probably 400 quid, a decent steering wheel can be had for not much more than £200, and you're racing against the very best in the world at what we do. Now, you can't do that in a real world car, but here, courtesy of the virtual world, you can get on the grid and race against the best guys in the world at doing this sport. So if you are curious about what it's all about, gaming PC, steering wheel, and get into Formula Sim racing. There's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, more details are down into the description as always, I believe, Kris. They are usually in the video descriptions of the live stream, so have a look at that definitely. But with 8 more minutes to go in this session, I think it is more important to actually have a look what is going on. Well, what has been going on in the meantime is that Simulchich has left the server, probably because of a disconnect or whatever has happened. It has meant, however, that his lap has been erased. I was just being told by our lovely president, Christopher Cobb, that if Simulchich doesn't improve, he will not get the pole position, but I doubt it's much of a problem. There we go, his time actually reappears now, a 1:14.5, and there goes Kuba Brzezinski with a 1:14.1. That's a big chunk out of Simulchich's time, who is now 3.5 tenths down on Brzezinski. However, I see Simulchich in second with a 1:14.5 and Sadler in third with a 14.4, so that should be the other way around, in my opinion. Something has messed up with Simulchich leaving, but I think Simulchich is still going to improve anyway in a second, and then the times will get updated, and we are all updated ourselves too. Kris de Jong in 4th position, by the way, don't count him out. Surprisingly good time from Kris, who I just spoke to, didn't have the most confidence in this race today, but a 1:14.7 from him doesn't put him too far out of sight of Sadler, Simulchich and Kuba Brzezinski. That is the top 3 we are basically going to be looking at, I presume, over the course of this live stream. Georg Winter in 5th, 1:14.7, of course also not too far behind, so don't count him out either. I'm having a look at Simulchich though, who comes round the final corner. I'll have a look whether he is able to improve, and the answer is yes, he does, and he gets Kuba back now. So a 1:14.0, good lap from Simulchich, and only 700ths of a second quicker than Kuba Brzezinski. It's always a little bit of yo-yoing between these two guys, but that is fantastic to see. Also a good battle in qualifying with 6 more minutes to go, so they have got some time to do an extra couple of laps, of course. Let's have a look at Sadler, what he can do. Sadler being in 3rd at the moment, of course, 1:14.4. He should be able to improve quite a fair bit as well. We have seen others improving a fair bit because of the track rubbering up. I think James Sadler should be able to do the same, so he is in that middle sector here. Requires quite a bit of wing and the back straight. It's not that big of a straight, to be honest, that long of a straight I should say. Definitely the majority of the overtaking maneuvers will take place down into turn 1, I have no doubts about that. Then this slow section here where James Sedler is going through 2 hairpins, he takes it pretty nicely, get early on the power of course. He could have used a little bit more road on the exit there in my opinion. But I am not James Sedler, and James Sedler will know for sure what he is doing, so maybe I shouldn't comment on that. However, he comes into the final corner flat out easily, of course. This is the corner we were talking about before with Ralf Schumacher, his incident. And Sedler moves himself up, I think, and he moves himself up to 2nd place. And only 0.03 of a second down on Simocic, his teammate. That is magnificent to see. It puts the top 3 within 0.07 of a second again. So a fantastic qualifying session over here, and it's definitely not over yet, as we still have about 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Kuba Brzezinski being not on the hot lap, I don't think. Is he? No, he is not. But has he got enough fuel to do another one straight away? I think he does. So let's have a look at Brzezinski's lap then. Braking for turn 1, you obviously slow down from, what is it, 200 and, well, even 300 most likely. 312 kilometers an hour, 308 for Brzezinski in that example. Michi Hoy in front of Brzezinski, pressing escape, going back into the pit lane. 22.7 first sector. That is about a 10th quicker than Simocic at this stage. So Kuba Brzezinski being quicker than Simocic. But as I said it before, the quickest lap times will definitely be put in the final couple of laps, final couple of seconds of this qualifying session. Wow, Brzezinski overcooking it a little bit there in that first hairpin, and the second hairpin as well. A big slide from Brzezinski. Great catch though, he keeps it alive. 30.8 in the middle sector. Simocic did a 30.6 there, so that 10th Kuba has had before in his pocket is now out of his pocket again. It's all about this final sector. This final sector you can't gain much unless you have a really low downforce setup. See what Kuba does nonetheless. He is able to improve? No, he's not. A 14.2 from him. He immediately goes back into the pit lane and is gonna try to do it again. 3 more minutes left on the clock.
So James Sadler really putting some pressure on Kuba Brzezinski, and great to see James doing what he does best. James has often been a fantastic qualifier, and that's what I really sort of recognised in James last season in the Formula Sim Racing season proper in Pro. He'll often pull out a stunning qualifying lap when he's in the mood and when the stars are aligned, and he's definitely looks like he's going to do the business today.
Kris de Jong is going to start another lap. Of course, all of these drivers will do one more lap right about this stage, maybe even 2. Kris de Jong being one of them. He's currently up into 5th place. I'm wondering whether he is able to improve. The top 3 currently not on a lap, but they are on the out lap, so they are preparing to give it their all just one more time. Kris de Jong looked a little bit untidy through the first chicane in the first sector as a lockup for the next corner as well. This one here is flat out for Kris, this corner, no problems whatsoever there. Then the long hairpin 23.2, first sector for him. That is not a personal improvement for de Jong. Who as he once again comes about sliding through the right-hander. James Sedler is currently behind Kris de Jong, but Sedler is on an out lap, so Sedler will get one more chance. Sedler has got one more chance. Brzezinski is on the lap right now, he'll get 2 more laps. And Simocic is on the lap right now as well. So we've got Simocic 2 more laps to go. Sedler is only going to get 1 more in. And Kuba Brzezinski also 2. Looking at Kris de Jong then again. Final couple of corners for him. He has not improved in the middle sector either. Doesn't look like Kris de Jong will be able to improve on this lap. Good news for him though. If he has got enough fuel, he will be able to do another lap. Final corner for Kris. Flat out, no problems whatsoever. 300 kilometers an hour on the exit. He did only a 15.4 this lap, so 8/10 slower than he usually does. Simocic in the meantime has had a good first sector. Personal improvement for him. Is Brzezinski in front of Simocic? Yes, he is. So Brzezinski is going to cross the line first. Brzezinski not able to improve on in the first sector. We'll look at the second sector for both drivers, of course. Brzezinski, I don't think he went much quicker through there. Brzezinski may have even abandoned his lap, because the second sector time didn't show up. Simocic, however, hasn't improved in the middle sector either. So maybe it has to be this final lap for both, for all the drivers, for the whole top 3. Having a look at Simocic though, is he able to improve? No, 14.1, he was rather close though. And the first one to cross the line now is Sadler, in fact, out of the top 3. Sadler is in the middle sector at this moment, but he had a poor first sector, 24.1 only. It's already 3/10 down on his teammates, so I'm afraid that James Sadler is going to move up a lot further, and he realizes it himself too. Parks alongside the road, and it's the session over for James Sadler. However, Simocic and Brzezinski, and the big final, you could say, of this qualifying session here. Both drivers have not improved in the first sector. Simocic, however, was a little bit quicker in the first sector than Brzezinski. Both drivers had a 22.8. Here we go then. Simocic is going to go on board with him. Nails the curb on the entry. Doesn't want to cook up this hairpin like we have seen Brzezinski doing. He goes a little bit over the grass and tries to cut the corner as much as he can. In the middle sector time for Simocic then 30.7. And that is not quick enough, and he sprints in fact, and in the meantime Kuba Brzezinski has gone purple in the middle sector. Kuba could steal it here, while Simocic has spun himself round, and you know what, I think Kuba will steal it, and he does it indeed, with the only cars being in the 113s. I said before, maybe we'll see a 113, and Kuba Brzezinski then in the end stealing it away, but with a brilliant lap, has to be said, he's happy with that, you can see that, with a brilliant lap, a 113.950. 1.5 tenths quicker than Simocic and Sadler. He leaves those two behind. But what a great final of the qualifying session.
Cliffhanger in qualifying, and just amazes me that Kuba Brzezinski, having driven most of the night in the 24 hours of Spa, that he's still awake. But I guess he's probably seeing steering wheels in his sleep anyway, so he may as well be here racing.
Yeah, I like that you say that. But Kuba has Kuba only has got a lot of dreams about racing. That is something you can tell. As always, though, we'll have a quick look at the pole lap, which was obviously from Kuba Brzezinski, a 113.950. I'll be waiting for you, Justin. When he crosses the line, just let me know. Well, what a fantastic session that was. From all of those drivers, those top 3 guys really made a big spectacle out of that one. Okay, go. So, on board with Kuba Brzezinski. I think it's lap 18, Justin. End of lap 18, opening up lap 19. Trying to get the pole lap sorted. We do want to see that pole lap because it was absolutely magnificent.
On the line, 3.
He's the only driver who has done a 113.950. The only driver in the 113s then on board with Kuba Brzezinski for his lap. First chicane, second gear for him on the exit. Nails the curb a lot. A little bit of oversteer on the exit, but that's okay. You can allow yourself that. No problems whatsoever over there. Once again, down to second gear, though, clipping the apex on the entry and nicely on the power. No issues there whatsoever. With these Indy cars, I do feel like you can get quite early on the power. There are not a lot of moments of oversteer usually when applying the throttle, which probably makes the racing even closer than it usually is. Very wide there for Brzezinski on the exit. I don't even know whether he stayed within the track limits, but hey, we don't give a shit about that. Okay, next corner then. After once again nails the curb. Very, very nice. Then this hairpin section, it seems to be on the entry of the first hairpin. He couldn't really get it to turn in my opinion, as much as he would have liked, but still it looks so quick. It is stunning. And then his final sector, he was about half a tenth quicker in his final sector than Simocic. And that final sector really has got only one corner. Of course, we've got this final corner, but it's flat out 290 on the apex there. And across the line for a 113.950, and that is a stunning lap. Really, really nice lap from Simocic. What is, by the way, something which caught my eye in that session. Let me actually confirm it, because that seems to be a really stunning time from Sadler. Yeah, James's final sector time on his fastest lap was a 20.0, which is half a second quicker than anyone else. But I think that's due to the timing not being all that precise, to be honest. So we'll forget about that. As always, though, we're going to move into the warm-up. Yeah.
Kuba's pole now moves him to 66 points versus Journey Simoncic on 61. So it just places that little bit of extra pressure on Journey to outpoint him in the race.
Yeah, maybe he needs that kind of pressure, you know. Maybe it will make him a bit better because, let's be honest, Simoncic has been quick, of course, but it has been Brzezinski the whole time pulling the string, so to say. So Simoncic has got to do something different, I guess. It's a relatively long run down into turn 1, which is good news for Simoncic, I guess. If he can get a good start of the line, of course, a rolling start, then yeah, he can pick up the slipstream perhaps or go for the inside of turn 1.
Do you think there'll be any teamwork between James Sadler and Journey Simoncic? Do you think Kuba really needs to keep an eye on James?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really nice to see Sadler up there as well, because imagine if we didn't have Sadler, it would be Simoncic and Brzezinski all the way again, like we have seen before in this Winter Series. But the more people, the more pleasure, we always say in my country, and maybe that's actually true for this race here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's great to be on the grid, knowing that the guys at the pointy end are some of the quickest guys in sim racing. But it's also good to have some depth up there at the front and not just know that it's going to be a toss of a coin between the same two guys. And James Sadler certainly has pace, and it looks like he's put some practice in this Dallara DW12.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm convinced that Sadler has got the raw pace. However, whether Sadler can also be consistent over the course of the whole race is something which I doubt. Of course, I trust in Sadler and whatnot, but you know, being quick in qualifying is one thing, but also having the consistency and the pace in the race is another thing. And this will be his first race in the Winter Series, so I'm really looking forward to see what he can do in the race, and yeah, see how consistent he is, whether he makes any kind of mistakes, that kind of stuff. We know from Brzezinski and Simoncic both that they aren't very likely to make a mistake. I think, in my opinion, Brzezinski even less than Simoncic.
Well,
However,
the pure racecraft of these top guys is quite amazing. And I had the pleasure of engineering for Kuba in Singapore, and that was a very, very tough race. He had a contact with Morgan Moran, got spun. Managed through pit strategy to get back out on track in front of Moran, but on super softs that were going to really be past their best over the last 3 or 4 laps. So once we got him back on track with track position in front of Moran, he really had to go into a tyre saving mode, and we were working very closely with Kuba on where everybody was and what they were doing, and it was incredibly tight. For the last 10 laps, there was Kuba, Mohammed Patel, and then Morgan Moran. And Patel was always within a second of Kuba, lap after lap after lap, and on worn tyres with all that pressure, fighting to hold down 4th position in a FSR World Championship race. It was only after the race that Kuba disclosed to me that he deliberately allowed Patel to stay within a second of him, because he wanted Patel to have DRS, and that would prevent Moran from passing Patel using DRS. So he was really using Patel as an unwitting rear gunner. Now, I couldn't do 1 lap as quick as Kuba. To be in the thick of battle, and to have just the awareness and the foresight to think, I'm going to keep this guy within DRS range to make it harder for the guy 2 cars back. That's just impressive. It just means there's a certain amount of sort of mental space that's available to think about strategy when you're driving that quick, and that impresses me.
Yeah, well said. I mean, racing nowadays is not about pushing lap after lap. It's a lot of other elements as well looking into it. Part of that is obviously strategy, but also situations you have just mentioned. And I think it is a bit of a difference between a casual driver, so to say, with all respect, of course, and the best driver, if you could call it like that. I mean, those, for example, with the story you have mentioned, what Kuba did, it happens, I think, instinctively. When you are a racer and you see a situation like that developing, it is your instinct to react like that. Some people will react like that, some people will not. But I think if you are driving and you can follow your head a little bit as well with making strategy calls with situations like you have mentioned, that is something which separates a really, really good driver apart from a casual driver, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the raw skill. And if that's there in abundance, you're then working at less than your peak capacity, just piloting the car. And this was something, I'm not a big fan of Paul Michael Schumacher, and I certainly wouldn't wish his current circumstances on anybody. But I was never a massive fan of Schumacher, but one of the things he was able to do was drive at his limit but still have plenty of time to think about other issues. One of the other things that people may not be aware of is that in the season proper in Formula Sim Racing, in World Championship, the drivers will normally have an engineer on the server with them, and through some of the software packages, certainly in our team, Abercrombie Racing, the race engineer has full access to tyre wear, tyre temp, full telemetry data, and will guide the driver as to what the best strategy is. And I think a perfect example of that was it mentioned the same two guys again, Morgan Morand and Kuba, in Malaysia in round 2, and this was a much sort of anticipated showdown between the guy who really on pace would have been the champion in 2014 were it not for doing a double tap on his pit limiter in the final round in Circuit of the Americas. Morgan Morand, I think you'll probably agree, Jeroen was the quicker of the two, between him and Bono in that season, that just made that one mistake.
Yeah, but it doesn't always say a lot, to be honest.
Yeah. So we're very close anyway, Morand versus Kuba in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And Morand did an undercut, got the lead, and Kuba stayed out. And I think the commentators at the time, including Kris, were saying, Kuba's letting this go too long. But on the pit wall, his guys were saying, don't go yet because his tyres are going to go off. And what they did was they put Kuba on a set of tyres at a point in the race where they knew he could go flat out till the end. And of course, Morgan Morand's tyres faded over the last 2-3 laps, and Kuba took position and beat him. Now, there's guys on the pit wall helping you do all that. You can't do those sort of maths while you're driving, and guys have told me they can't even count the laps while they're driving. So I think that supports what you were saying before. It's just instinctive to play those games.
It is all instinctive, but I think you gain that as well by experience. I mean, experience is something which in the end plays such a big role, in my opinion. That will be the case, I think, for every single driver. There is not a driver who comes up in the league and immediately knows every single trick, knows when to do what, knows when to push when, that kind of stuff. That's impossible. You gain experience, and by that you also gain knowledge when you have to do what and how you have to do it. Of course, there are always people on the pit wall who help you as a driver, and that is something I think in the World Championship especially, which you need in order to. I think calling it an advantage is a little bit too much, but having someone who helps you is going to increase your chance, I think, at winning, especially in the World Championship. But you can, for example, have a conversation with your pit wall. What's gonna be best, and maybe we should do it this way, maybe we should do it that way. Two opinions are always better than one view, I think.
100%. Now, interesting, we've got a handful of Honda engines on the grid. Michi Hoyer
really? And
is in a
are
Honda.
They running?
Eugene Van Swagenberg's on a Honda, and Journey is driving a Honda.
Oh, as Sadler, no?
James. I can't see him yet.
No, Sadler is gone. Sadler just left the circuit. That's a shame. I wonder what Sadler was running, because of course Simracing and Sadler will have been practicing together. I'm sure about that. So you would assume that Sadler has it as well.
Yeah, well, one of my teammates tested the Honda because we talked last week about got a different torque curve. It's just a little bit little bit fatter on turf, fork lower in the rev range, which in theory could make it nicer on a road course. But one of my teammates, David Cook, who's no slouch in these cars as well, he tested the Honda and he couldn't get within 0.3 of a second of his Chevrolet time, so it seems that the Chevy suits him more. But the guys are saying that on this track, it's just because the engines are so peaky, delivering their horsepower and their torque in a real rush very late in the rev range, it's hard to get the gearing quite right. You're either sort of jumping it into top gear and there's a bit of a lull till the power comes on, or you're getting plenty of power early and then you're running out of puff at the end of the straight. So a bit of a trade-off where you want to have the most power, which might make it interesting for us in dirty air and using a slipstream into turn one, as you mentioned.
Yeah, you know what? I think overtaking could be relatively easy. That could be positive news for Simultage, but when you have a look at the end of the lap, you have those hairpins which are really slow. And remember that you pick up more dirty air through quick corners compared to slow corners. Of course, you have that right-hander after those hairpins. That could be a little bit tricky, but from there onwards, it's flat out as well. So there's plenty of time to pick up slipstream and go for an overtake. And of course, you have the back straight as well, which could play a little role, but the majority of the overtaking definitely are going to take place in that first corner.
So we're ticking down to race time now, aren't we? Race time is imminent.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have another practice race start, so to say, which we won't broadcast because it looks too messy now. But we'll talk about something else like we did last week, David.
I might just mention that. I'll tell you what I had on my list here to mention.
Yeah.
Oh. This will be a practice start, yeah?
Yeah.
And that is just for people's awareness about the Formula Sim Racing winter, the season proper, which starts in March and continues all the way through to November.
Yeah.
With 17 or 18 rounds. The entry level's called Pro, and in Pro you race 60% of a Formula One World Championship race distance, and you get to use automatic clutch and traction control and ABS brakes on low if you want them. They're not compulsory. And that's really the entry level. If you're a hot driver in the Codemasters series or Assetto Corsa or any other sim you want to name, that's where you dip your toe in the water, and that's very inexpensive to get involved, maybe 12 or 20 euros or something like that for a season. But best to get in with a team and get all that backup on setups and coaching, etc. Work with some quick guys. And then the next step up is ACE, where we run 80% distance, and the only assist you can use is auto clutch. And in ACE we have real live, real-time, real-world weather. So wherever we're racing, we use a weather plug-in connected to a weather station at that track. And if you're racing in Spa and it starts sprinkling in Spa, in the real world, within a minute or two, it's sprinkling on track, and that's just an amazing thing when you cannot predict the weather any better than you can real world weather. And World Championship, of course, there is no assist whatsoever, and 100% race distance, and the engineer is allowed on the server with you. So there's a progression, stepping stones, if you like. And I race in Pro, started there last season. I'm a mid-pack guy. But God, I love it. It is just amazing to prepare and to turn up for a Formula Sim Racing event. And the guys at the pointy end of Pro are as quick as the guys who are winning World Championships. So if you're wondering about your pace, if you're wondering if you can maybe survive a whole race and not get lapped, I mean, these are the sort of goals that I set at the beginning of the season. And I think you're a great example, Jeroen. You were racing Pro last season. You were the Pro champion. And in the same year, you won a World Championship race. So it just goes to show that the pace up the pointy end is just as quick in Pro. I think the difference is that in Pro, there's 2 or 3 guys that are that quick. In ACE, there's probably 5 or 6 guys that are that quick. And in World Championship, there's about 12 guys that are that quick. So.
Yeah. No, you're right. But I think as well, what is the difference is I have to laugh because the practice start has gone on the way. But I think one of the differences as well when you drive in pro, I mean, I have experienced that firsthand. When you jump from pro to WC, it's not only speed, which is a little bit of a difference with more guys being on the top level, so to say, but just racecraft in general. There's a lot more racecraft. For example, in pro you can have some back markers which don't always understand what to do and what they have to do. But in WC you don't see that kind of thing. You know, WC is from a very high level usually for every single driver, with every single driver. So yeah, what you get in pro, indeed you have said that maybe 2 or 3 guys have WC winning pace, so to say, but yeah, of course WC is 100% race distance race, which, trust me, is a bit different compared to 60, but the racecraft in general is also a lot higher. So yeah, but I think pro is fantastic to step in, get to know the community, get to know the league, as the formation lab has gone underway. But you said it too, in pro you also learn the team, and you test together usually with a team, and because of that you also get to drive with the world championship drivers of your team, who are usually, you know, the guys who you look up to and you compare yourself to. So yeah, even when you are driving in pro, you are still a big part of a team, and that team also means that they drive in the world championship. So you get a little bit of a flavor for that as well during the test races, for example.
And some viewers out there might be curious to know how much practice is involved in what these guys do. I mean, and I can tell you now that nobody's doing less than 300 laps in preparation for FSR race, and some guys are doing 600 or 700 laps in preparation for one race. So it's these guys are quick, and they do an enormous amount of practice, and what they do here is not easy. It is very, very tricky. In fact, in some ways, it's harder than real life. Okay, you haven't got the heat, you haven't got the G-force and the physical strain and the danger, but you haven't got that feel through the seat of the pants. You've got to work out what the car's doing through your force feedback steering wheel, and through experience and through, you know, visual and sound cues. And it's amazing how good you get at reading all of those, like the noise of the tyres, etc. But this is very tricky, and very much on that point, Florian Strauss, who his team came second in the Bathurst 12 hour, which actually finished in the early hours of this morning, European time, which I watched most of, so I've got to confess I'm a bit tired too. He was racing Bathurst in the virtual world 5 years ago. I was watching him race in R-Factor 1. And now he's won the Bathurst 12 hour in a real car, come second twice, and he mentioned before the race that he just loves racing Bathurst, whether it's in the virtual world or the real world. But I'll stop talking now because we're at a race start.
Indeed, we have a race start. We are down the start-finish straight, and the race has gone underway. 36 laps of racing, and Sadler has had a magnificent start, already up into P2 and going to attack Cobb on the inside of the first corner. Cobb goes into that first, though. No issues there whatsoever, as Simracing has been involved in an incident, I think, with Kris de Jong, if I'm correct. I do think so.
Dropping down the table too.
Simracing is in 5th place at the moment. What else have we got? I don't think there's a lot more. Are there people without front wings?
Winters suffered some issues. He's dropping down to P13. David Cook started from pit lane, which David tends to do if he feels it's going to be a bit of carnage in turn 1. He'll sometimes start in the pit lane, and it's often served him very well.
Simracing on the inside of Thiago Barbosa, which I think is a new name in the field today, and Simracing being then behind Kris de Jong again. Kris de Jong went a little bit hot into the first corner, although I shouldn't really judge, so don't exactly take my word, as I was watching Brzezinski entering turn 1 a little bit more, but I'm sure that de Jong had a bit of contact with Simracing, and Simracing right on the back of Kris de Jong over here in the final corner, of course. Now we'll see what Simracing can do. We know that Kris de Jong is not an easy cookie to crack. We'll definitely give it all to defend. Simracing on the inside for the first corner, of course, and he has got the top speed there, quite similar, of course. Simracing's got the inside line, so you would think that he takes that position, which he does indeed nicely. Simracing back up to P3, Sadler in P2, and Brzezinski still leads, of course, after the first lap.
And good recovery from Journey, because he's only 3.6 seconds down on the lead with 35 laps to go. So his race is certainly still in shape. He's got 4 wheels on his wagon, as Martin Brundle would like to say. And he's got the pace to chase.
Thiago Barbosa attacking Kris de Jong as well. Jong is under quite a lot of pressure. You see immediately SimRacing has teared off into the distance when he overtook Kris de Jong. So Kris had a good start, was up to P3 for a second, but now has to give up a few spots. And I think Thiago Barbosa is going to line himself up nicely for an overtake down the start-finish straight. Needs a good exit out of this right-hander, which he does get. Of course, you need to be quite careful with the dirty air over there. Now we'll have a look how powerful that slip from actually is. He already took up over here, and it is quite powerful, you have to say. Kris de Jong leaves the inside completely uncovered, as you would expect, because there's not a lot you can do with that amount of top speed because of the slipstream.
Oh, he's attacked. Kris has attacked back into the corner.
Yeah, but he has got it. It's a good defending maneuver from Kris de Jong, which turned out to be an attacking maneuver. Barbosa is really right on the back of him. Mitchie Hoyer having a look behind that as well, of course. Kris de Jong definitely not giving up easily on that 4th place.
One thing Kris knows how to do, and does it very well. He knows how to place his car to make life hard if you're trying to pass him. Although Mitchie Hoyer's joined the party now. Mitchie now wedged between Barbosa and de Jong, and Mitchie very, very keen to move up the grid. He's lying P3 in the championship, only 16 points behind Cobb.
And de Jong is on primes, by the way, so that explains the lack of pace. There will be quite a big train, by the way, behind him. Because yeah, exactly, because Pedro Mora, who is in 8th, is also going to join that train a little bit, but Mitchie Hoyer has got another chance to do it. I think Kris de Jong is going to apply the same tactic as he did with Barbosa, so not really bothering attacking here. Indeed, he in fact lets Mitchie Hoyer through, but then he's going to pick up the slipstream here again once Mitchie Hoyer goes by and tries to go for it again. Does he do it though? Here we go, Kris de Jong. This time he's going to do around the outside, because Hoyer defends the inside line. Hoyer braking really late, and can he make the corner? Yes, he can. So Hoyer moves up to P4 with a good move, and de Jong is down into P5 then, and has to look in his mirrors again straight away, because Barbosa will be attacking quite soon again.
Now, Kris de Jong is the only driver to be running the prime tyre, so the interesting call. He must have felt he was suffering a lot from tyre wear, and I guess if we're going to see a pit stop around about half time, we're going to see guys stopping at around about lap 17, 18. So Kris de Jong's strategy is going to work out for him at all. He'll need to start showing some very good pace from about relative to the alternate runners, the red sidewall tyred runners. He'll need to start showing some pretty good pace from about lap 12 to make this strategy work. Either that or run longer and put on the alternates a little bit late and be super quick in the second stint. But yeah, interesting, just the one guy starting on the prime.
You could also go for a 0 stop, so not a stop at all.
If the fuel can handle it, I think it's 2.4 litres a lap. I discovered when I was in pit lane earlier, and with 36 times 2.4, that's 90 litres. I don't think the car has that capacity. I think they've got to stop.
Okay.
I think it's about a 70 litre tank.
Yeah, in that case, you definitely would have to stop.
US gallons are smaller than European gallons, by the way. Well, we don't use gallons in Europe. An Australian gallon is more than a US gallon. So is a British gallon.
Jeroen again being attacked. Schmidt has joined that party alongside David Cook as well, who is right up into P8. Not bad after starting from the pit lane, of course. So David Cook moving himself up to the field a little bit, which is nice for him. But Kris de Jong has got to take a lot of defensive lines the whole time. As an update on the lead as Barbosa makes his move finally. Side by side into the hairpin complex, I'm just going to call it. Kris de Jong will have the outside line for the next one as well as they touch a little bit. Yep, those two lines came together. And look at this, we now have a big train indeed, as I predicted. And we could see an overtaking maneuver. Well, Kris de Jong could get overtaken here by 3 cars. This is going to be intense here, as we may go 4 wide down the start-finish straight. Already 2 wide twice in the final corner. And here we go then, down the start-finish straight. Who is going to pull along the string here into turn 1? Here we go, about 4 wide indeed. Kris de Jong breaks latest. And Kris de Jong goes first into that chicane. Cook follows behind, so Cook is eventually the big winner out of that fight. fantastic battling between all of those guys, and they all kept it clean as well. Kris was so late on the brakes into turn 1, I thought he was going to overshoot it, but honestly, that is brilliant driving.
That was amazing. I was watching Kris and I was thinking to myself, he can make his car wide. I know he's good at making it wide, but he can't make it that wide to stop 3 guys getting by. Barbosa has had a spin for the infield, for the the inside.
Yeah, indeed, we have lost Barbosa, and she lost his front wing? No, he has not. So
now
Barbosa will keep on going.
Up front, Simičić has passed Sadler, and I don't know whether that was
Sadler
a free kick or not from his teammate, because Sadler was holding pretty close to Kuba, keeping him within about 2.5 seconds, and now Simičić is through, so I dare say that's a bit of teamwork going on there.
Yeah, Simičić got through easily down the start-finish straight, so that's not a surprise. Sadler is actually weaving down the start-finish straight. Don't know why he's doing that, down the main straight rather. Oh well, we'll see.
So Journey's still within 3.3 seconds of Kuba, so very, very good recovery from Journey to get that.
That's not over yet. I remember you saying it was 3.6, so
yeah.
In that case Simičić would have gained 3/10. That is nice for us as a spectator, of course.
Indeed, and then a bit of a big gap back to from P1, 2 and 3 are separated by 5 seconds, and then it's another 7 seconds back to Michi Hoyer, and we seem to have a bit of a gaggle of guys from P6 through to P8 really. 4 guys there separated by not a whole lot of track.
And here goes David Cook on the inside of Kris down the back straight. I think David Cook will get it. Young braking late though again. He's gonna swing around the outside. Kris is someone you don't beat easily, and well, it's being demonstrated here perfectly. Kris having the inside line for the first happiness, so he has the favorable line, and David Cook has to wait for a little longer. Kuba will open up a lap 8 out of 36 soon. He has already done so. And David Cook is gonna try it again. Down the main straight they go. He picks up the slipstream. The question is, will he hit the ref limiter? In fact, he does hit the ref limiter, so David Cook won't go a lot quicker than this. 315 kilometers an hour on his speedometer. Next time he wants to be a little bit closer for sure if he wants to get a move in. You want to be right on the gearbox already into that final corner, so the flat out right-hander.
Yeah, he's pretty much got to cement the pass in the first half of that straight, hasn't he, before he hits his limiter?
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise you just hit the rev limiter and nothing you can do. But Cook is looking really good, has had a good exit for this back straight. He'll pick up the slipstream a little bit more. Now it's vital for him to stick with Kris braking a bit late, you can see that. Cook was a bit surprised by it.
And these twisty bits is where Cook should have more advantage on the alternates, and it looks like he's through.
Not yet, Kris has the inside lane for the second hairpin. Yeah, now he's got him. Now Cook has got him. Kris with a poor exit out of the final, or the last corner rather. And David Cook will get him easily over here, but I reckon that Kris is going to try the same thing which he did to Barbosa before. So pick up the slipstream right now, get into the slipstream, but I think he's a little bit too far back. I think Kris has got to give up on this, unless he finds a way past the others on the inside.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yes, that is
that's
great.
Impressive.
That is nice.
Oh,
that is very nice.
Cook's got the inside line through this one. And Cook on the alternate should, in theory, be quicker through this twisty bit, unless they've started to go off already here on lap 9. But de Jong's starting to look very feisty, actually. Hanging on.
That's true indeed, but he is too feisty. That's what
I
I mean.
And he's gone wide.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much aggression. I think it's all nice and it looks good and whatnot, but in before it goes wrong and people get mad at you. And there we go, Morozov. That's the first victim, so to say, from that big battle we have seen. Having said that, I think Barbosa was the first victim, in fact, and he just lost on corner entry. I don't think there was contact with de Jong. No, there was not, so more spinning on his own. A bit of overspeed.
Kuba's pulled 0.7 of a second further from Journey, now 4.2.
Got another battle with Schmid and Winter. This is a battle for P7 then. They're almost 3 wide with Barbosa in there as well. And George Winter, or Georg Winter, gets into the first corner first. We're seeing lovely small battles all over the track really. Unfortunately not for the lead, but it's the way it is. We are being entertained quite well so far in these first couple of opening laps, as Theodoros is in the pit lane right now. Schmid battling with Barbosa still.
Yeah, Theodoros had an issue on the opening couple of laps, couple of spins and a bit of damage. And
Winter spins! Sorry to interrupt, but
Yep.
Winter has gone off.
Oh,
And he
no.
spins again, rejoining the track. Ooh, and a lot of KM because of that as well. I think Van der Niet in there too. Yep, Van der Niet has had an issue himself too. But Winter was alongside de Jong. Oh,
looks like Winter's got damage. He's pulling off.
Yeah, Winter says fuck you to de Jong. I'm sorry about the language, but there was a quotation. I think, Justin, if you could go on the replay, Winter and de Jong down the back straight. I think Winter will feel like de Jong didn't leave him enough space on the outside. And he was facing the wrong way when trying to rejoin the track. Van der Niet himself spun at that same time as well. And Winter won't be a happy turtle, so to say. Winter is still on track, in fact. Stationary on track is Winter.
I don't know what that's about.
Waiting for de Jong and then crushing him like an open R-Factor lobby. I doubt he'll do that.
Surely not.
No, he won't do that. Oh, having said that, what is Winter doing? He's letting Hoyer by. He's driving rather slowly though, is Georg Winter. Having an update for you on the leaders. I think Kuba Brzezinski has got this at the moment. He's 5.5 seconds ahead of Journey Simulcic. Settler in third, 11 seconds further back, but Kuba seems to be rather controlled at this stage. As I'm having a look at Winter, Kris de Jong comes by right about now. Oh, no, Winter, no.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
No.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, but I am going crazy almost.
That is a disgrace.
That is something you cannot show on the server. That is unbelievable. I'm about to swear here, but...
No, that's a ban. That is a ban.
That is not the kind of behavior you want to expect. I'm sorry, Winter, but that is idiotic. You cannot do that. Whatever happens to you, that is not the way you should do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am done.
Unfortunately, we couldn't read his mind, or the race director could have booted him off the server. But that is just absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah,
And the problem is, so you get mad because you get mad because something happens to you in a race, but until you see the replay, you really don't have the total picture.
Also, yes, true.
And so
that
he
is
might have been
unacceptable.
popping
You
mad
cannot
over
accept that
something
behavior
that,
anyway.
on reflection.
Even when you do get crashed, on purpose by someone else, you don't do it back to them in that way. That is unacceptable. You cannot do that.
Totally unacceptable and just totally unbecoming the stature of this series. Okay, it's only the winter series, but it's Formula Sim Racing.
I'm sure he would not have done that I'm pretty sure he would not have done it in an actual race, so to say. But even if it's winter series, come on.
Yeah,
something is wrong with your head.
There will be repercussions from that.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, Cook has cemented himself into P5. Lucas Schmidt about 8 seconds back from Cook. Hoyer up in P4 is about 9 seconds ahead of Cook on the road. Sadler 5 seconds further up, and then Simicic 5 seconds further up, and Simicic is now 7 seconds behind the very versatile Kuba Brzezinski. And I say that because regardless of what car you put Kuba in, he's always quick. In the last winter series, he was quick in those beautiful 1992 F1 cars. He's obviously super quick in a 2012 F1 car, which is what we raced in Formula Sim Racing last season proper. He's quick in this car, looking like taking out the series, and overnight he was quick in an LMP1 car. So, and we also know that he's quick in whatever they race in GTR Academy. So
he will be even quick with a shopping cart, seriously.
yeah, exactly. In fact, Kuba said that about Nikodem Wisniewski, one of his teammates from Feeder Sport Poland. Kuba said, yeah, you could put Nikodem in a shopping trolley and find a way to go quick.
Yeah, well, same story for you, I think.
So hopefully we're going to have some good driving now. We've got the closest battle on track at the moment is Barbosa and Schmidt. They're on the same second, and Eugene van Swagenberg is only 1 second back behind them. So looks like there's a bit of a party starting to form over a battle for P5. And we should also be getting very near the pit window for these guys running on the alternates, which is everybody now, of course.
Yeah, I'm just still having a crash within myself after what happened. I never experienced something like that. But
you know,
it's good to make an end of it, you know, and stop talking and concentrate on this race a little bit more.
Yeah, no,
I think.
look, I'm the same. I'm a bit flabbergasted, and I just can't see how. And you know, I can't see how George Winter will escape a lengthy ban from that behaviour. That is just, you know, so unacceptable. You don't even have the words or the pen to be prepared for it, because it's just not happening.
Yeah, well said, well said. But indeed, let's concentrate a little bit more on this race. What is out of all this hectic stuff? Oh, there's someone off. There's someone off.
That was Cameron Roger.
Cameron Roger, yeah, indeed. That's the fifth retirement of the day, in fact. But what is Sadler doing in P7? What have I missed? Do you know?
No, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Sadler has had a really slow last lap, 1:37.2. I'm afraid Sadler has made a mistake somewhere. I'm going to quickly check that, in fact. He went into the pit lane. Okay, so that explains it. It's an early pit stop, David. Lap 14 of this race, and he has gone into the pit lane for a stop.
Indeed. That's 14:15, so he's going to need to run 19 laps, 20 laps. Sorry, over 20 laps on this next set of tyres. And he's taken alternates again, so maybe he's hoping that with the improving amount of rubber on the road, the evolution of the track, that his tyres are going to last him quite a bit more, or perhaps he was facing a bit of traffic and felt now was the moment. But certainly he's attempting now to attack Schmidt and get track position over him as quickly as he can.
Ooh, Barbosa the inside now for turn 2. No, not yet. I thought Barbosa had him there, but Sadler himself swinging it nicely around the outside too, which was a good defending maneuver. But David, this is not really helping Sadler, is it, in his fight with the top two?
Well, it's helping him get his tyres up to temp, but it's not getting him up the track very far, is it?
Exactly, yeah.
And
a bit of a battle. We go 3 wide again, I think, down the start-finish straight.
These guys are partying hard.
Exactly, a lot of battling here between those guys. Of course, Sadler in there too, who takes the longest string into turn 1. Gets up into P5, which is good for him. Fresh tires for James Sadler now. And he has got clean air in front of him. Lucas Schmid behind him. Barbosa, I have to say, David, as we talk about him, he goes off track. It's the barrier hard.
You've done the commentator's curse.
Yeah, I would say so. Barbosa, unfortunately for him, is off again. I was just about to say, I don't really remember the name from this guy, maybe his first race even, but I thought he was doing relatively well. He has got the pace, but 2 mistakes from Barbosa definitely drop him a little bit further than he perhaps should be.
Well, he doesn't appear in the top 10 in the Winter Series points, so I think it is a new a debut in the series, unless I'm mistaken.
Cook in the pit lane. That's lap 18 of this race, so that's about the pit window, you would say, if you are on for a one stop. David Cook switching, of course, to the alternates again, the option tire in his IndyCar, refueling his car, and nicely driving out of his garage again.
And Sadler has taken position from him, which you'd expect, but Schmidt has as well, but I don't think Schmidt has yet pitted. His tyres are looking a little bit ropey.
Justin, no replay of that, no replay.
So Journey holding on to a fairly stable 7-second gap at the moment. And lapping in consistent sort of low to mid 116s. Kuba running mostly low 16s with a couple of high 115s. So Kuba certainly seems to have the pace.
He has kind of, yeah.
And he won't push the car any harder than he needs to push it.
No, that's safe to say. Brzezinski knows now what to do. He has been in this position before. He's the guy you can trust delivering a victory, so to say, because let's be honest, it's halfway through the race, I know, but you don't see Brzezinski as the guy who's going to throw a victory away.
No, indeed. I'll tell you what I find fascinating, Jeroen, is the whole steering wheel thing. Like I think Kuba runs a fairly basic Logitech wheel that has designs on upgrading to a Thrustmaster.
Yeah.
And so many, I mean, the Logitech is kind of the go-to, Journey is pitting. The Logitech G27 is sort of the go-to vanilla flavoured sort of wheel, the first, I guess, entry level for a proper wheel with proper force feedback.
Yeah.
But so many super fast aliens run that wheel.
Yeah.
But everybody aspires to something a bit sexier. And I think our generous in the FSR series, Thrustmaster offers a fantastic product. And for the next step up, if you want to go past that sort of 220 pound wheel and maybe spend 300 pounds on a wheel, the Thrustmaster P300 seems to be the next proper step up on the ladder. And
honestly, yeah, go ahead.
And then of course for the nutters like yourself and myself, there's the open source wheel project. And I'm yet to report in on how that goes. I haven't got it finished yet.
Yeah, honestly, I think there are multiple ways of seeing it. I always saw it because I had a G27 myself. I always saw it as Logitech, then Fanatec, and then, for example, a do-it-yourself project like the OSW. But you can also take Thrustmaster straight away as a starting point. I think that is actually best. And then maybe you can upgrade to Fanatec and whatnot. Although Fanatec is as Kuba pits, the leader pits, but I think Fanatec is reasonably expensive straight away with all that gear. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really cool and whatnot, but you can also straight away make the jump to do-it-yourself wheel if you want to upgrade from Thrustmaster already.
Yes, and I don't think price is always a good measure for quality either.
No, true.
Fanatec pricing went up enormously when the Chinese revalued their currency, and Thrustmaster didn't put their prices up, and Thrustmaster for a belt-driven wheel are probably 30-40% cheaper than the equivalent Fanatec product, and I don't think the Fanatec product is any better than Thrustmaster. It's just a lot more expensive, and in some couple of the products look cooler. So certainly in terms of bang for the buck and getting a really good belt-driven force feedback wheel that's a notch above the entry-level Logitech, I just don't think you can go past Thrustmaster. Felix van Delft, who raced last week, upgraded from the G27 to the Thrustmaster T300 and absolutely thrilled with his upgrade.
Definitely, it's a fantastic upgrade, as Fabian R. He's in the pit lane himself now too. I think most people have made their pit stops. Mitchie Hoyer, has he made his pit stop? Yes. And I think, David, when we are focusing on the race a little bit more, I think Hoyer could be a threat to Sadler, don't you think? I mean, Sadler will be on more worn tires.
Well,
Hoyer behind
indeed,
him.
yep, indeed. Sadler pitted quite early, didn't he?
Yeah, lap
Mishi,
14.
let's look at when Mishi's only just lap 20. Mishi did his pit stop. So yeah, Mishi's going to have better rubber. Sadler's is going to be getting a little bit tired. So I think that's a looming battle. We've got 16 laps to play, and there's only 5 seconds between them. So what's that? About a third of a second per lap is all we need to see from Hoyer, and we'll get a lap time coming up fairly soon from Mishi, a race lap.
Yeah.
We haven't yet got a competitive race lap because that was his out lap.
Yeah, he's on the lap right now.
But Mishi has missed the strategy. He doesn't usually get the strategy wrong, so if he held it up to lap 20, it was for a reason, and perhaps he thought the only way to attack Sadler was to make sure he had better tyres at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and who knows, maybe Sadler still has to stop as well because of the early stop. You never know. We hear from Justin, who is replacing our president Kris Cobb today with the broadcast. Hope you are enjoying the quality, by the way. Usually we are pretty happy with Justin and his quality, and you guys are so as well. So hopefully it is the case today as well. You noticed that Sadler had a bit of a slide through this third corner, so perhaps already an indication that Sadler is pushing. He knows that Mishi is behind him, and he needs to keep cool as well and keep control of the tires, of course. Let's have a look then. Sadler coming across the line right about now.
Mishi's gained a second and a half in the last lap on Sadler with a 1:15.1.
Sadler has done a 16.6, so 1.5 seconds over the course of that lap we have just seen.
Yeah, so on those maths, really we're talking in the next 3 laps, Mishi will be closing on Sadler, and with Sadler's early pit stop, he may not have a whole lot to fight back with. And Mishi's a class driver. I mean, Mishi won the Chinese round of the Ace season. Did suffer later on a time penalty which took him out of the lead, but that was a magnificent drive, and Mishi's got the pace. So it'll be an interesting duel.
David, honestly, how do you remember all of those things? I'm commentating on the series.
I just got a good memory for stuff like that.
All right, good.
I can't remember how to cook chicken fajitas from one week to the next, but I can remember what happened a year ago in a race.
Well, then another lap goes by. See how Sadler did it this time. Of course, we know that Sadler had a slight previous lap. He had a 16.6 that time. This time it is a bit better, 16.0 for him, but I doubt it will be faster than Hoyer. Actually, it is faster than Hoyer. Hoyer this time is 16.3, so yeah.
So he's holding him stable at 3 seconds, which is a comfortable gap.
But we know that Hoyer can go quicker. He said that 15.0 before. So I think Hoyer may have made a mistake, a slight mistake in that previous lap. We'll keep an eye out though on this battle. Simotic in the meantime, how is he doing with, or in comparison with Brzezinski?
The gap is down to 5 seconds, so Simotic has reduced the gap. He got into the 1:14s a couple of laps ago, but he's running a lap time hovering around the 1:15s. Kuba, mid to high 1:15s. So at the moment, Simotic's pace is better.
Interesting. Kuba may be a bit of in a cruise mode, and then once Simotic gets within 3 seconds or so, he may turn it up again. Who knows?
Indeed.
Turn it up a notch.
Indeed. There's no point pushing to 100% when 99% was the lead.
Oh, and Hoyer has gone up to third. There we go.
You've got it. What
Sadler
happened
must
there?
have made a mistake then, because that is a bit unusual to have made a gap up like that in one lap. Sadler indeed went off. It's the hairpin entering the second sector, the very long hairpin. Bit of overspeed going into the corner, and he couldn't keep it from that moment onwards. Too quick into there, and Hoyer taking advantage.
Yes, well I think it was inevitable that Mishi was going to get on Sadler's gearbox. Sadler looks like he's fighting back now though, trying to get back onto Hoyer. And it'll be an interesting battle. If Sadler can get close to him and stay close to him, I'll be very, very impressed because he's going to be having a bit more tyre wear.
Yeah, definitely.
But Sadler is a fast driver. He's a quick racer. But when you're racing against someone like Michi Hoyer, it's a bit like racing Kuba. So you're sort of racing a metronome, you know, and you might find a half a tenth somewhere and half a tenth somewhere else. But you can lose 3/10, and it's a bit like climbing up a greasy pole, really, when the other guy isn't going to make a mistake.
Yeah, Sadler may stick with Hoyer for like 2 laps or so, but I doubt he'll be able to do it for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, he won't have his eye in quite as much as Michi, although Michi hasn't been doing a huge amount of practice in this vehicle.
Oh, Van der Niet is another retirement. What happened to Van der Niet? He was running in a quiet 8th before. And has made a mistake. Yep. It's a rare impact. Probably some suspension damage for him, and he decided to quit on it.
Sadler's within a second of Hoyer, but just getting a little bit of oversteer coming out of these slow corners.
Yeah, Sadler can do a lot.
Which tends to indicate that the alternates are just starting to go off a little bit.
Yeah, he just went a little bit off track as well. And you can see visually that Hoyer is pulling away from him, so...
And there's just, when you're behind the wheel in this situation and your tyres have just gone off a little bit, there is just nothing you can do. You can push that a little bit harder, but what happens is you get another 15 or 20 degrees of surface temperature into the tyre, and they go off quicker and quicker, and you lose more and more grip. So if you overdrive them, you just go backwards at a greater rate. So.
You know what it is, the thing with him, you know, when you get overtaken like that, you'll try to fight back for the first 2 laps or so, and you'll try to, overdo it. It will work in the first 2 laps, but after that, the tires are going to give up. You cannot keep up with it, being able to push so hard, and it's only gonna be worse for you than it was going to be if you just drove normally, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sadler now needs to really make sure he protects his 4th place, because Cook is only 9 seconds back up the road, and with 10 laps to go, one mistake from Sadler on worn tyres can get his nose in front. Cook's running mid 116 very consistently. Sadler is currently running a little bit less consistent, but mid 116s down to a high 115, but generally about the same lap time. So it's going to be down to tyres. If Sadler's tyres start to throw in the towel, Cook is going to find himself closing that gap. And David Cook tends to play a strategic approach. He won't overcook it on his tyres or take great risks, and play the longer. And now, saying all that, there is closing up onto Hoyer again, which is impressive. It's 1.4 seconds at the moment. And Simoncic has closed up a little bit on Kuba, 4.7 seconds.
Yeah, well said. Simoncic is facing a little bit of traffic right now. His name is Mora. We should get out of the way right about here, but this definitely cost Simoncic a little bit of time, I would say, this lap. But at the same time, he picks up a bit of slipstream, so that will help him down the start-finish straight.
Meanwhile, Kuba is just approaching the entry to turn 1. So Simoncic can probably see him up there ahead on that long straight.
Yeah, Simoncic just set the identical lap time to his previous lap, so the lap he did before that, so really consistent driving from Simoncic at this moment. But will it bring him anything with 8 more laps to go? I doubt it will.
I can't see it happening. 8 laps, 5 seconds.
Exactly.
That's too big a bridge to cross. And Hoyer has got still about 1.5 seconds Sadler, holding fairly steady. Just riding on board with Hoyer, the car seems to be behaving very well. The car's underneath him, as they like to say, not twitching around, and Hoyer's not taking any excessive risks. He's driving his inputs are all quite smooth. And it's Sadler's really the one who's got to do something amazing if he's going to catch Hoyer under these circumstances. But Sadler's a fighter, he's not giving up. Still bang on 1.5 seconds between those guys. Journey just back under that magic 5 second mark to a 4.9, but that's still, 5 seconds is still a big gap now. Sadler pulling away from Cook now. It's a 12 second gap now, in fact 12.5, so it appears Cook is no threat to Sadler. Sadler's got him covered, just with sheer pace.
Yeah, I think we are pretty much settled for the finish here today, David.
Yeah.
Not a lot more happening, I don't think. Simotic will maybe close that gap down to Brzezinski a little bit, but trust me, Kuba's not gonna make that a lot more exciting, even though we do want it.
There's about 0.4 or 0.45 seconds difference in pace between Sadler and Cook. Cook sitting on a sort of low 116 to mid 116. Sadler cranking out consistently 116 flat. Gap to Hoyer's now grown out to 2 seconds. Hoyer's off. Hoyer's had an off-track excursion through the grass. Sadler's closed up that little bit closer. Hoyer recovered it, got back onto the tarmac. But Sadler just tantalisingly close now. 0.9 of a second between the two of them. But unless Hoyer's overheated a tyre, he's probably going to be back to business as usual. Let's see as they come down the main straight.
Yeah, it depends over here, because Sadler will close up a bit, a few tenths, because of the slipstream effect.
Yeah, he's going to get a bit of a draft, isn't he?
Yeah, look at that. And instead of being a second down, he's now about half a second down. It's because of that slipstream effect. We're locking up both on Cobb.
Hoyer pushing it hard into the braking zone.
Exactly. So both are pushing rather hard right now, but this is an important lap for Sadler. If he's able to stick with Hoyer right now, he may get a shot in. If not, it could be too late. But just judging the steering inputs from Sadler, that car, you said it before, O'Reilly, it is not underneath him, whereas it is for Hoyer.
Yeah,
to make so many corrections, there we go.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, Sadler was really having to work hard to get the car under control. It's a brave and strong drive to run up there with Mishi. But Mishi at this stage of the race won't be having it all his way. He's got a bit of tyre wear happening, and he's got Sadler breathing down his neck.
Yeah, but Sadler cannot keep up, I don't think. The gap is a little bit bigger than it was previous lap.
Journey down to 4 seconds now, the gap, with only 4 laps to go.
Yeah, both drivers have got a bit of traffic ahead of them. Simotic van Logerenberg ahead, and Kuba has got Barbosa ahead of him.
You have Kris de Jong inside your commentary booth.
Oh, who is that? Kris.
Mind if I join you guys for a spectacular ending, hopefully between Michi and James?
Go ahead, do it.
Be our guest.
Oh, nice. I'm treated like a guest. Get me something to drink, since I'm the guest.
Yes, there you go.
No, but great race, in my opinion, and a nice battle on the end of the race as well with Michi and James. And I don't think we have seen the last of that, to be honest.
No, definitely
no, indeed.
not.
I mean, James is really making a good show of this. He's fighting hard. The car doesn't look like it's really handling that beautifully at the moment, but he is just fighting so hard to stay in contact with Michi. Michi had a bit of a half... Well, no,
James is spinning!
He's overcooked it.
It's over! James is spinning, and that's really unfortunate, but at least he tried, or he died trying, so to speak. At least his tires have written all over it, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. He just lost it on corner entry. You don't see that often into a corner like that. That's a clear indication of tires going off.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess James, he had to take the shot, didn't he, really? Michi was there.
Yeah,
Michi's little half spin on the grass on the infield towards the end of sector 2 opened the door, and James wanted to drive through it and was James was really pushing hard and writing checks that those very badly worn alternates just could not cash, because James pitted very, very early. I think it was about lap 14.
Yeah. To be honest, Cook is going to get him, I think. Sadler
Well,
is
it's 4
struggling
seconds
so
now,
much.
yeah.
Sadler is struggling so much. He has so much oversteer all the time. Look at this. He
Yeah,
has
ooh.
to correct it on corner entry already. I think Cook will get him as well if this keeps on going.
I agree.
4.5 seconds gap between them, and 3.5 laps to go. So if James's tyres totally give up the game, Cook will be on him.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with Jeroen there. James is struggling as a pig in water. I don't know. Can pigs swim? No.
Well,
That's what
Rufus
said.
Barrichello.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Struggling like a pig.
Yep, exactly.
With this beautiful action. No, but that spin of James, it's certainly sad. Definitely not the weirdest accident we've seen today. And that's where I
Well,
want to
no,
leave it.
indeed, and that's a topic I think we'll talk about a lot offline, Chris. So
Yeah, but for now,
opinions on that one.
I mean, Journey is still in 5 seconds. If Cuba makes one mistake, I don't want to commentate the curse you Cuba, but he has competed in a 24-hour race with Paschalis Gergis and Nikodem Wisniewski. He already won that, but he is tired AF, to keep it nice. And he is winning yet another race, and hopefully a championship for him as well if he finishes this in first place.
3 seconds now between Cook and Sadler.
And he's found some second life in his tires, it seems, sadly.
Cook at this stage would be smelling blood.
Yeah, well, 1.7 seconds per lap is Cook gaining at this stage.
And Sadler's just got to walk a tightrope between enough pace to just keep Cook off his back for the last few laps of this race, but not overdo these tyres, because they are just going away from him so quickly. They're like an ice cream in the sun at the moment, and James would just have a feeling that they are just turning to chewing gum, just turning to goo. And now Cook has got him in his sights. I'm sure we're on board with Cook at the moment. Cook has got Sadler in his sights. There's a 2-second gap, and Cook can do this.
Yeah, I imagine
see
what
a start
Cook will be
finish.
like. Cook will see that car on the horizon getting bigger and bigger, and just smiling and knowing that he could get him, but he needs to give it his all himself too.
2 laps to go and 2 seconds in between them, and then there's still that little bit of a dirty air. I mean, James Sadler can really not afford any mistakes now, like that dear old Chris Young did last week ago and destroyed his own podium.
That was a great race, Chris.
Yeah, but Cook is hanging in here, and James is just nailing it every inch of the way. He has no tire wear left on his tires, almost driving on the canvas, but I'm sure the set of David Cook isn't completely new as well.
Well, Sadler is getting so much oversteer on throttle. He is just, the steering wheel action we're seeing from Sadler, he's having to turn like crazy to get it turned in, but once he's back on the gas, there's a huge amount of counter steering going on. It is just bucking around like a Bronco while Cook reels him in.
Yeah, let's see if Cook can make advantage of the slipstream here. No DRS, fortunately for us, and I do think it's a slight effect he has here.
Yeah, very, very slight. Remember, this is the final lap as well. They're crossing the final lap.
So I should be going to Cuba Brzezinski in about 20 seconds time, or 15.
Kuba comes right about the final couple of corners now. Oh, but Cook is going to be so close to Sadler, that's for sure. Brzezinski though comes around the final corner to pick up another victory. Those two guys, Cook and Sadler, are right now in the first sector, about to close that up. As Kuba Brzezinski, as I said,
this is where the race
will
is.
take
We need to be on board with Cook. Cook
Here we
is
go.
right under
Cuba
Sadler's
takes it
gearbox
home.
now.
Winner of the day, fastest driver in this championship, if you ask me. Well, back to David Cook and Ethan James Happen. This is going to the end. Only a few more corners to go, but this tightly bound part of the track is really, really destroying your tires even further.
I feel a side by side across the finish line coming up.
Yeah, ooh, David Cook a little bit struggling there.
Yeah, Cook's rear end
And
stepped out a bit. Sadler's is
James
stepping out more.
no!
That Cook's going to have him onto the straight.
No way!
It's just you've either got the rubber or you haven't got the rubber
James
at this
Happen
stage.
crashes. He even parks
Oh
into the
no!
wall. Ah, no,
Oh,
James.
James.
Well, he will still be qualified maximum of 6th. since the others are one lap down. Oh, he managed to keep it going. Okay, James, this is the only time you're not getting a retard award from me for driving with 2 wheels on the track. The only time. Get it home, dude. Get it home.
Kris, he's on the oval.
Yeah, he's taking it home.
Wings.
Okay, great job, James. Great job by taking that home and taking it to the finish.
You, James. Brave drive.
Yeah.
Took the fight to Hoyer. Put all the cash on the table there and said, right, I'm going to take Hoyer. I don't care what the consequences are. And of course, the consequences were he cooked his tyres. And then another cook in the name of David Cook, who measured out his tyres like a professor all through the race, get up there into P4. So
yeah, but that's what we want to see. I mean, I'm really happy that James, in the end, lost those positions. Not for him, but that we have seen some action, that we have seen some fighting there. And I'd rather see a driver failing, but trying it 10 times in a row, but failing once, than, just being a calculated Alan Prost there.
No, it was a brave attack and a brave fight from Sadler, and it looked for a moment there like he might have had third, but then again, having seen what James's tyres were at the end, I don't think third had the potential. But yeah, he could have just cruised for a fourth, but no, he fought for third, fought bravely, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Cuba's complaining on the serve. You can't do a donut in this car apparently. He's trying to do a donut, but there's too much rear grip.
And that proves that even if your name is Cuba Brzezinski, you cannot do everything you want with a serve.
Oh no, he's managed to do one now.
No, never mind. You can do everything when your name is Cuba. Cuba.
Well, that was a lot of fun. A lot of action.
It was.
And just when we thought the race had settled down, it all came alive again with the Hoyer-Sadler-Cook scenario.
Yeah, I believe there was a bit, and I don't want to talk about the incident indeed, the FSR Wintergate that is going to be known in a couple of hours. But what I do want to talk about is that, from my point of view, in the earlier stages of the race, it was a tremendous battle with a lot of guys. Not only talking about myself, but the crowd was really packed the first 5 laps.
Yeah, there was a battle there with about 4 or 5 guys involved until one by one they had little issues and fell by the wayside. But there was some fantastic racing in the middle order there. And must be said, Kris, some tremendous defending from you. At one point you were coming down the main straight towards turn 1 and I thought to myself, well, Kris de Jong can make his car pretty wide, but he can't make it that wide to block 3 cars attacking him. And
well,
sure
they
enough,
were actually in front, but I outbraked them and I took the outside line. That's the one you went. Yeah, but in my opinion, I always left enough room. I didn't say it was plenty of room, but it was enough that you would have 4 wheels on the tarmac.
Well, that was a lot of fun. So we saw some great racing throughout this winter series with the IndyCar, and I did hear there may be a 4th race scheduled to replace the aborted oval track race in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And if there is, I hope my wheel's ready in time because it's been a great car and it's been really, really great winter series. I think it's been more interesting racing than the last winter series because the car's better. I think the Formula Renault 3.5 from last year on fixed setups was a bit of a dog actually. I like it with open setups where you can tweak the car and get it working properly. But in a fixed setup environment, that Formula Renault 3.5 was a bit of a pig. And it was tough racing, and it's a great learning curve in that situation, but it wasn't as much fun.
No, but the Winter Series is all about openness, and then if you want to try something for free and race among the best names, and if your name is Cuba Brzezinski or Jeroen Simocic, then you are amongst one of the best names in racing in our league at least. But it's just a nice environment for people to see if FSR is something for them, and it allows a friendly, competitive environment. To
well,
race
indeed, Kris, it is so friendly, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. The only thing I want to say is that I never thought I would see that from such an experienced driver and such a fast driver as well. And in the end, he's the only one that can learn from this. But this is definitely not something I have ever seen in FSR. No. But there's always a first thing for some things, and let's see how it will get handled. Well, but at least we saw some nice racing as well today.
So it's official that Kuba Brzezinski has taken out the Winter Series. Journey Simojic has come second, and Michi Hoyer has come third. So as they finished on track, they finished the winter season, unless, of course, that fourth race is scheduled.
I think we might have that fourth race there, David.
Well, I'm just hearing from the race director that there's a good chance we will have a fourth race, so that's fantastic news. So if you're watching us on YouTube, keep an eye out for the fourth race. Any rumours as to what circuit we might be on?
I think we might do another Roval. If you don't know what that is, that's a road course with half of an oval, like Indy.
Okay.
I'm thinking Palm Springs, which is in real life is, I believe it's California, or it might be Homestead. I can't remember.
Are you live or are you muted, Kris?
Yeah, I'm live.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Palm Springs would suit me because I believe a lot of old Americans retire from California to Palm Springs, and I'm quite old, so Palm Springs might suit me down to the ground. Well, I just want to say thanks very much to Kris Cobb. I know he's put a huge amount of work into this winter series, and to get it all happening. And he came up with the concept of the IndyCar. He came up with the track selection, and it's all worked beautifully. I want to thank all the new faces that came along to give it a go. I want to also thank Jeroen, Kweekel, a very experienced commentator and World Championship winning driver, for letting me join him in the comms booth and have a lot of fun. So thank you, Jeroen.
He might feel himself a little bit too fast now, okay? He still has to prove himself next year, or this year.
He's got a tough teammate next season.
Oh yeah, Kuba Brzezinski.
You don't get an easy teammate in WC, I don't think.
No, that's true.
Well, I drove WC once.
Yeah, I heard Ron Squire is going to join WC.
Yeah, sure, Naked Grand Prix. Okay, now something that is really going to happen. I mean, we will see you guys, I think, in 1 week or 2 weeks' time when we will go back to the final race of the Winter Series. And I don't know if we have said something about circuits.
Yeah, Kris Cobb mentioned that it might be another one like this one, part road, part oval.
Okay,
maybe Palm Springs.
Yeah, Palm Springs. Well, that's a really nice venue. That's how things will get on there. But I think for us it's time to go to bed, isn't it?
Yep. So we'll sign out. Thank you very, very much for watching, viewers. And if we don't see you at Palm Springs, make sure that we see you on the grid for Melbourne, because next season we have a brand new car. It's one of the new hybrid Formula One cars, like the 2015 Real World car. So we're moving up from a 2012 spec car to a 2015 spec car with all of those bells and whistles to make the racing exciting. And we hope to see you there.